Hello, everyone. My name is Don Sparks. My presentation today is on behavior-based safety, or what we call BBS in the refining industry. Our BBS process is branded as GEARS. It stands for Generating Exposure and At-Risk Solutions. So a lot of places do it. A lot of places do it the same but different, if that makes any sense. And they usually typically brand it in a way that is special to them. So us being the Motor City in Detroit, we branded it Gears. So we're going to kind of look into it real quick, and I'm going to explain to you what it is and kind of how it works. So basically, behavior-based safety is looking at quite literally people's behavior. So we take jobs that are being performed by workers in a small microscope, typically not start to end because jobs can last sometimes days. We're looking at small windows, 5 to 15 minutes depending on the job, and we're really focusing on the worker's behavior, specifically when at-risk behavior. So when they're doing something that we would kind of deem unsafe, we're looking at why they're doing it and how we can fix it. So it's what people do and why they're doing it. That's what we're looking at. So in the context of BBS, behavior is an observable act. And the examples I have down here are some observable acts that we definitely will consider at risk. They don't typically all look like this. Statistically, 98% of our work is done safely. The next example here is a typical day at the refinery. This is a refinery. It's a pretty standard job. You have a gentleman taking a liquid sample. So on the left, there's a lot wrong with that picture. If I were to do an observation on this gentleman and he said sure, because they can say no, it's not a mandatory process, and it is a process where there is no name, no blame. So any observation that gets done is typically done by a peer, and there's no repercussions. There's no punishment. It's not a safety audit where there can be discipline. It is strictly being your brother's keeper, but at the same time collecting the data to form trends. But going to this observation, the gentleman's not wearing his FR or flame retardant clothing properly. He's also not wearing goggles or a face shield. He's taking a liquid sample, and he's not wearing gloves. There's also something called an H2S monitor, which we all have to wear within our breathing zone in case we encounter H2S gas, which is a very common poisonous gas in the refinery. He's taken it off and placed it about 10 feet away from him because that would alarm, which would generate paperwork and possibly some questions as to why he took it off or why he was wearing it in a job where he might have to wear an SCBA or air purifying mask. On the right, this observation would have led us to discussing that stuff, discussing a better way to do the job and mitigating those at risks and him performing the task properly. So on the left, you have kind of pre or during the observation, and the right would be the result. Now we would take all this information and we would document it and trend it, but I'll get to that later. The ABC model is basically what our process is built on. So the ABCs are the antecedents, the behaviors, and the consequences. So antecedents are the situations or the occurrences that lead to the behavior. The behavior is once again the work itself, the work that we're watching, and the consequences are what happened after the behavior. The biggest thing to remember in the ABC model is that consequences drive behavior, specifically soon certain positive consequences. So if I know I'm going to get results now and I'm certain I'm going to get the results I want and those results are positive, that is what's going to almost always drive human behavior. And that is not just in the context of work, that is in general. This stuff is, I'm trained by behavioral science specialists in this field, and then they say this is pretty much bulletproof science. So it's a very cyclical process. So we take this data, we do the observations, we take the data, we trend it, we analyze it, we look for at-risk trends, and then we try to mitigate them on the spot if we can, or we use engineering controls, but we take this to departments with a budget to try to fix the problems that we can address on the spot. And it creates evaluation, and it's a constant cycle. This is something that it's always spinning, and it clearly shows results because, as you can see from the chart below, and we started this process in 1999, so we've been doing it for 25 years. You see where it says COS implemented. That's what we used to call the process. It was COS, or Circle of Safety. Now it's called Detroit Gears. But you can see the chart is, we have statistically stayed well below our previous ORIR, which is the OSHA recordable injury rate, and we've stayed below the industry standard since instituting an observation process. So to sum it up, empowering your frontline workers in a no-name, no-blame environment is critical to not only your ORIR, but your safety culture in general. And the art of the observation is having that conversation, having feedback generated in a peer-to-peer environment to make the refinery a safer place to work, and not just for us, but for everybody involved in the BBS process. Thank you.